Spring 2011 has seen a lot of wet and rainy weather in eastern Canada. This has certainly caused frustration for Ontario corn growers as they want to get their crop planted at the most optimal time but are in a delayed planting situation. In this presentation, Pioneer area agronomist Morris Sagriff discusses how corn hybrids can adapt to a more condensed growing season and also the optimal maturity switching dates for Ontario corn growers. Morris is a 30-year veteran on Pioneer's agronomy team. He's passionate about sharing his experience and agronomic knowledge with growers so they can put the right product on the right acre and make the most profitable decisions for their operations. Here's Morris to discuss how to assess corn hybrid performance in a delayed planting situation.
This next slide has to do with Windsor, Leamington, Chatham, Ridgedale, which is irrelevant to you guys today. But just pretend you're thinking that it's that first one instead of Windsor, it's Woodstock. Woodstock, based on the heat calculation of high and low day temperatures, would be 14 corn heat units per day, okay? 14 corn units per day. So if you did the math, if we did back in the soil by the 29th of May, 29 times 14, it'll be somewhere in the range of about 400 corn heat unit reduction. Okay, so what that's really basically saying is if you were in that 3,100 unit line, okay, that ran from Grand Bend over north of London, take 400 off of that, it actually puts you down to 2,700 heat units if you think of May 29th start date. But I want to share with you something that you have to think about despite that math that I just did. Let's go to the next slide. The next slide, you should be looking at a slide that's entitled Hybrids Adjust Their Heat Units Required to Silk and Black Layer with Later Plantings. And this is what you have to put into thought with regards to hybrid selection right now, because these hybrids will adjust. If you take a look at the on the right-hand side there in the grayed out area, it talks about growing degree days decrease with delayed planting. And you'd say, what is a growing degree day? We don't talk about that. And that's right, we don't. In the U.S. they do. They talk about growing degree units, and they talk about growing degree days. We talk about Ontario corn heat units. But if you look in that grayed out area, you'll see a line that says 6.8 fewer growing degree days per day of delayed planting. And what they're really trying to say is the way the good Lord designed this corn plant to read its environment, when things don't get going as early as they should, okay, the corn plant will adjust itself. It will take and grow at a faster pace. We know that with later plantings, corn will actually grow quicker and it will grow taller. So the hybrids, irrespective of whether it's 9623 you're going to put in the ground, which is a short statured hybrid, or another hybrid like P0125HR on good ground where you've got the heat to do it, because there are some areas that have that 33 unit line running through them, you're going to have taller corn in 2011 because of this later planting. But the hybrid will also adjust itself in the amount of heat required to reach silking and to reach physiological maturity. If you take a look at the chart there titled Corn Adjust to Later Planting on the left side, the Pioneer Crop Insights one, if you look down in the green area, it says change in growing degree units to black layer. And it's talk about year 3. If you go down the column year 3 and you look across the average, year 3 and average, you'll see a minus 213. What that's really saying is that there was about 200 plus growing degree units less required to actually achieve physiological maturity. So, if you translate this around to Ontario corn heat units, what it means is it will take roughly 8 Ontario corn heat units less to mature corn in terms of what we're faced now with later planting. So if you take 29 days in May, and because I'm just presuming we might get back in the fields, the good Lord willing, we might get back in the fields by the 29th of May, that means that there's 29 days, 8 less heat units will be 72, 16, 23. It'd be like 230 less heat units you require to make that corn tick. So we said there was 400 right off the bat with 14 corn units per day in May in terms of Woodstock times 29. That was 400, 230 less. It's like 170, maybe in the 170 to 200 range less. So those people that are in that 3,100 unit line, you really have 2,900 corn heat units. Those of you that are around that 3,300 unit line or in that range, you probably have closer to 3,100 units. Okay? And this is something that farmers probably won't realize. Corn will adjust and does this when it's planted late into that first part of June. This slide here is something that, we're talking about looking at heat accumulations from Pioneer's perspective. This is from publication 811, the Agronomy Guide, and it's just something that they've been publishing through the various presses out there to farmers, saying that if you're in the 28 to 3,200 unit zone, you'd probably want to start considering adjusting your hybrids somewhere in that May 20th to 25th time frame. The reality is that's probably a reasonable statement, and we'll see as we go along here that we're going to have you looking at the possible adjustments in that vein.
For more information on when to switch corn hybrids in your area or when to switch to beans, talk with your local Pioneer Hybrid sales representative or visit pioneer.com.